I'll request Mr. Sanjay Lakhotia, co-founder and CEO, Noble House, to please share his insights on how to identify which roles are best suited for the gig work.
Thank you very much, everyone, for the questions during the session. One thing that I've learned over a period of time when people ask me about this question about which are the jobs that can move to gig. And it's been a great amount of learning for me working these last 6 years with clients where many people have come to us and co-created some very interesting stories that have emerged out of the gig model. So there are some simple use cases that are very, very easy to identify and very commonsensical. One of the best use case is what has been created by the Government of India, which is they have extended the maternity leave from 3 months to 6 months. And that's the best use case of when you need a gig worker. Anywhere, if you've got a person going on maternity leave, you need a gig worker because 6 months is a fairly long period of time and you can't have a critical position vacant for that longer period of time. A very simple use case where you can find a gig worker. The second very simple situation where you will be able to identify a position for a gig role is where you're not able to hire somebody from outside for a very long period of time. Or the gap between now and the date of hiring is very, very significant. So somebody mentioned, it takes 4 months, 6 months sometimes to hire a person and take a person on board. So one example, one of our clients, significantly growing 3 years back, they had to open 6 business units and multiple offices across the country. They needed processes to be designed. They needed people to be hired. They needed programs to be designed. So what they did, rather than wait for those 4 months or 5 months, they hired multiple people of different kind of skill sets, including hiring, process design, technology development, onboarded those people because they were available within 7 days. And then they worked for the first 4 or 5 months till the people got hired, took on those roles, they transitioned the work and moved away. So that's a simple use case where people have used gig resources. If I move to more complex kind of assignments, one best example that comes to my mind is that we have a client who approached us. They are from an insurance company, insurance industry, and they wanted to do something about customer experience, which is not a subject under discussion till now in that particular industry. Okay? And when the first conversation happened, it was a typical recruiting conversation where the client said, we want a customer experience expert with 15 years of experience in the insurance industry who can come and help us improve the customer experience. Now, this particular animal does not exist. Nobody has thought about customer experience and insurance industry together and they claim this themselves. This is their first thing that they said. We are unique, but we want somebody who has this experience. Okay, so this is again a situation where if you think differently, then you can find a solution. And that's exactly what we had to do with the client. We searched for this animal, we couldn't find, we went back to them. But what we also did was we found some other people who had very strong customer experience and from industries where customer experience is valued. And we told them, you interview a few people based on our recommendation. And please remove this first element of filter, which is the industry context. Okay? So in this example now, this client finally hired a person who's from telecom industry, has done excellent amount of work in customer experience. This assignment has been on for 1.5 years now. It's not a typical 9 to 5 kind of an assignment. The person is assigned for a limited period of time to the teams that are available. There is a charter that has got created. And the organization is moving its processes, culture, everything towards this new environment that they want to have for their customers. Now here again, If in your organization you are facing some challenges in being able to find very specific skill sets for a particular need, there is a chance that you can take a bet on a gig worker to come in and help you out. Wherein the only thing that needs to be done is, the industry context is not very difficult to actually be transferred, frankly. But the skill that you're looking for, that is transportable across different industry contexts. So many a times, many examples of jobs which companies were finding it difficult, if they went out of their comfort zone, you will be able to convert it into a gig. And trust me, they did not need a customer experience person full time. And they're doing fine. It was a myth that got broken. Now, there are some jobs which are seasonal in nature, many a time. They are very simple to move to gig. Now, let's look at some of the things that we do. One customer came to us and said, and the example that Jyotsna, you mentioned, it's a parallel to something like that, is out of recruiting. So one of the clients had a unique problem. They were shortly understaffed. Okay, because business was booming, they needed all the peoples on board at any point in time. And then suddenly there is this season that comes, which is between September and December, where you have to visit 60 campuses and you have to hire many people from engineering campuses and management campuses, right? And every visit requires minimum 3 to 4 people to travel from the company. People who are required to deliver the regular work. And they have to be away most of the time, some people, for 30 to 40 days continuously in that particular season. So they told us, we can't spare these people. How can you solve this problem for us? Now imagine a thing which was never, I have not heard, till that time I had not heard of a company not sending their own personnel to hire from campus. And they gave us this challenge. And what we created for them was a panel of people wherein one person went from the company, but 2 people were freelancers. So the same model that you talked about, the requirement was clearly specified. The expectation was very clearly laid down as to what is the kind of people that we are looking at. And actually at that level, when they were hiring freshers, there wasn't too much of a check that was required to be done, which mandated that you have people internally. So what they were again checking for, like Jyotsna mentioned, they were checking for a value fit. They were checking for the right behaviors most of the time, right? The technical skill matters, but how much is the question? So that was an important thing to look at the start of the career. And they were looking for a fit with the other people in the organization. So here then this became another model which was not giggable in our minds for a very long period of time. But we converted this into a task, we converted this into a short duration assignment. And this worked beautifully because it's freed up so much of bandwidth for the people who are doing some of these assignments. Right? Where is it that it doesn't work is when you get very, very specific and narrow in your requirements. So the moment you get very narrow, it becomes a little bit of an issue because freelancing is still new, right? So again, a banking client came to us and they said, we want to have people who have credit and risk background, and we want people who are freelancers to come in and work with us for 6 months. Again, something completely unheard of in banking circles. No bank will take a chance on one of the most core things which drives their business. And now we had a challenge because nobody who knows credit and risk was sitting idle and waiting for a freelance assignment, right? Because if you were not looking for freelance talent in a particular space, there will not be any freelance talent sitting on the other side waiting for joining that space, right? So it became an interesting challenge they gave us and said, but we have a need, we can't find enough number of people, what do we do? What's the solution? So we had to go back and then again experiment on certain things and find people who worked in credit and risk a few years back, quit and became consultants in some other area. And we could bring some people like that as gig workers to solve this problem for this particular client. Now, we couldn't do mass, we couldn't do too many numbers, but we could do a few which at least help them in figuring out what to do. So one of the things which will become important also is that if you're looking for gig talent in a particular space, then you have to also make sure that you're talking about the fact that you want talent of a particular kind in the market. And automatically gig workers will learn those skills and make themselves available. So I often get asked this question in many of the sessions, saying that should companies invest in training the gig workers? We've talked about engagement with gig workers and everything, right? And when HR folks ask me this, I tell them, please stay away from gig workers and don't kill their creativity, because they learn 10 times faster than what you are able to train your employees internally. So if you really want to kill the creativity of the gig worker, then you should get involved, because you are not doing a good job with your own people at this point in time. So it's important to understand that gig workers have the ability to learn some of these skills very fast. And they are investing time, effort, energy. So somebody asked about saying, how will I remain relevant? Trust me, the future is going to be like this. The future is going to be about changing skill requirements in the market. And if you want to remain relevant, if you want to have your skin in the game where people are looking for you, you will have to learn new skills every year practically, henceforth. Simple example is my daughter, 4 years of engineering, has joined KPMG recently. Anything that she has learnt as technology or anything that she has learnt as models are not true anymore when she's gone to work. I have Divesh, my technology person. We have worked in the last 6 years on moving multiple models on the same technology platform. So what we developed our first technology on and what is it that it is working on, we probably have done 4 changes already. And each one is not like a minor shift over the other. It's a significant shift, right? ChatGPT is the topic of hot conversation today. I have got JDs written by ChatGPT from clients, mind you, already. And I'm surprised that it has, got adopted so fast. Where clients have sent us an assignment, I can clearly see it is a machine-generated requirement. So we've already seen it, and it's been out how long? It's just 2 months, 3 months in public domain, right? And the kind of use cases that we are seeing, the kind of technologies that we are seeing, this will change the work environment in a very significant manner. So for gig workers, for you to find work, the most important thing you will have to do is keep track of what is it that organizations are looking for. For organizations, you will have to send out information about what are the kind of roles that you want to hire for from the gig space. And trust me, you will find that there is a very quick bridging of gap that will happen, especially because technology is driving some of these things in a very significant manner. So we've been able to scale up for some of our clients in areas where skills did not exist. We've been able to bring skills within 3 months. But that's the time you will have to give. So in 3 months, people are able to pick up those skills, be equipped to be able to deliver some work, and all their past experience comes in useful, may not be directly relevant. So if we do this, I'm sure companies will be able to find. Somebody was asking me, Arunima, we were talking about this in one of the breaks. The only thing which is important is to put the stake in ground and commit to something. So anywhere where organizations have committed to hiring a gig worker and they have gone out and taken a chance, it has not failed till now in our experience of 6 years. Okay, even when the examples have been as radical as the ones that I've talked about. So something that's not been tried, something that doesn't sound possible, we found it is possible to do many a times. But you have to have that conviction at one point in time. And any of you, if you're looking at finding any job that you do, which can move to gig or not, that question comes. Just have a conviction that it can, and I'm sure it will. Okay? Yeah.
Like if I am into auditing and I have the conviction that the work-life balance in my firm is providing me with that, I can pivot my skills.
Pivot my skills into, like you just said, that you should have the conviction that you can do. But if I have the skills but the projects are not coming to me, so this doesn't actually work in the real world. Like for example, will you be able to say that gig economy is for all types of professionals, or it is only limited to tech or certain consultants in finance? Because as far as my knowledge of audit is related, we cannot venture ourselves as gig workers, even if we want to earn more through this passive income of gig economy. So my question is, till the projects are not aligned to us through big fours or any good companies, how will I, even if I have a weekend off or even if I want to work extra, how will मैं अब ये सोच भी लूँ जैसे आप बोल रहे हो कि आप अपना माइंड ऐसे रखो तो आएगा, बट काम का है जो आएगा, तो मैं कैसे सोचूं कि मुझे आएगा? मतलब काम भी तो होना चाहिए ना.
No, obviously, not every job will move to gig, right? So I'm not saying that every job will move to gigs. There will be some jobs that will move to gig, some jobs which will not move to gig, right? Audit is a statutory requirement mandated by law, right? And there are certain guidelines around it. So that cannot be a thing which can, where you can do moonlighting on multiple kind of assignments. But what I'm saying from your perspective is, if you want to remain relevant, and please understand, auditing by itself may not remain in the form and in the style that you are used to auditing at this point in time. Technology is going to take away a huge portion of auditing that we do today, going forward. Okay? The question that will come for people who are doing auditing today is, what will I do when this work moves to technology? And for you to remain relevant, you will have to find, what can I do as a professional to build skills in an area that is in demand in the market and be available to the jobs that are coming up. Right? So I'm not saying you can remain an auditor and keep finding work, because audit as a task may go away because technology will take over, right? Technology is taking over parts of it. A whole lot of work that you do of reconciliation is all going to bots in finance, right? A whole lot of postings that you do manually today is all going to bots.
That's more of a software-based thing, but still there's a professional judgment which is involved in auditing which cannot be replaced as far as I know. And my question was...
There are algorithms that are doing exactly what you do as a human and doing better than you, and they are not missing a single case. So if you see some of the development that is happening, this is changing very fast, guys. I have seen this change in the last 10 years with a rapid change in the last 2 to 3 years in terms of how technology is taking over some of the things that we do today.
So what is your advice? Like, what should be my vision towards this thing to be relevant and making...
Keep track.
Right now you should focus on your job.
Yeah.
Everybody may not be in position to get a and you apply to them, they'll find out.
Apply on Noble House website and just wait.
No, learn new skills. Learn new skills which will be relevant in future, and continuously keep unlearning and learning. That is the only way you'll be able to remain relevant.
Assignment syllabus is there.
Huh? You will not be able to stand at one place, going forward in terms of your skill. That's very, very clear. Everything is changing at a very rapid pace. Technology is changing, laws are changing, the way work is happening is changing, the way we structure work is going to change. Education is changing. Education is changing, where we are not going to be educating people in streams, but education is changing in becoming more problem solving oriented going forward. That is going to be the change we'll see in the next 5 years. So it is not going to be about electrical, mechanical, electronics. My daughter has done a course in mechatronics, which combines 3 streams together. Because all our things that are coming henceforth require all 3 skills to work together to solve a problem. your autonomous cars, your doors which will open and close on their own, so many other things that we are talking about. Don't work on a principle of ek electrical engineer alag, ek mechanical engineer, ek electronics alag. You need to combine all of this and solve the problem that needs to be solved. So things are changing very rapidly. Keep learning new skills. Keep in touch with what is happening in the world, what are the new things that are emerging, and keep your minds open to how that will impact your jobs and how you can benefit from the new jobs that are coming. Okay? So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I'll ask Yuvraj for some.
लॉयर लोग अप्लाई कहाँ पे करें? हमारे गिफ्ट तुम्हीं को दे रहे हैं। Thank you, Sanjay. Yes, Yuvraj.
So I have another 20 minutes with me. How many of you are ready to wait here? I'm sure that none of you. I'll take 20 seconds. Great to see so many people since morning, and I'm sure that, when you start session in the morning at 10 o'clock and you have plans till 5 o'clock in the evening, numbers are supposed to be dwindling, but the real beneficiaries of the gig economy learnings are sitting here, so you guys would be immensely benefited with this. I was going through the sessions which we have had since morning. I think it covered everything, right from where the trend is coming from, what are the legal implications, what are the possibilities of using it for ourselves. It's important to understand, as Sanjay was also saying, that as professionals, it's not important for you only to look at in the center of the thing and figure out that how can I really leverage this. At least as a professional, it's important for us to also figure out how this will impact the work in my organization and how I can do my work as professional far more effectively. So I think that was the overall construct. And how that happening is, if you look at on one side, you have government or the overall governance looking at being more progressive in last a couple of decades, if I have to really say. On the other hand, you see the growing economy, new companies are coming up. On the third hand, you see, large employable workforce. So if you have the triangulation of all these three, there needs to be a solution so that everybody gets benefited. And that's what the gig economy is all about. And I'm sure that all of you would have learned a lot. I will thank few people. I wish I could come in the morning, but I'm sorry I couldn't be here. But one person who needs to be thanked for putting all this together is Sanjay Lakhotia and his team. I think they've done a fabulous job. On behalf of NHRD and Delhi NCR team, I would completely hats off. I think that we have been doing this meeting for last 10 days every evening, that how the nominations are going on, how the speakers are getting lined up. Sanjay had always been very confident that we'll have a very successful session, and clearly seeing so many people participating, it goes to say that, program had been successful. So Noble House team, definitely yes. Two important partners for us, ex-monks team was here. Great folks in terms of really building leadership and also coaching and developing people as coach. Acrivia, which is in HCM HR Solutions. So congratulations and kudos and thanks to them for really participating and partnering with them. Give them a round of applause if they are here. Thanks to all the speakers, everyone. Some of them are sitting here. I think it's very, very passionate speakers, all the moderators who had been part of the sessions. Thanks to all of them for really participating in this combined effort of Delhi NCR, NHRD and Noble House. All of you who have been here, all the students who are here, who have definitely benefited. I think I'm very, very keen to see that they leverage this and they go back and at least think on this whole construct and the concept, put in a couple of paper on this, couple of pages on this whole concept of gig economy. I think it will be better for you to retain it that way. Thanks to all of you for participating. Thanks everyone who's here. And big round of applause from all of you for Masarat Hussain, our Vice President of Delhi NCR NHRD. And big round for Bhagat ji, who has been a part of organizing, and BK Joshi. Thanks everyone. Wish you all a great evening ahead and a great weekend ahead. And I'm sure that from Delhi NCR, NHRD will keep coming up with interesting programs like this. And we look forward to most of you to really participate and benefit. Thank you so much. Thanks. Thanks. So now we break.